For most of my life, I didn't think about sunlight as an input. So I was wearing SPF on my face, even in winter. I would put sunscreen on my skin in summer. And I just thought sunlight is something we should avoid because it causes skin cancer and it also is responsible for photoaging of your skin. So you just want to protect yourself from sunlight. But this position changed the more I started research health, biology, and sunlight specifically. So in the recent years, my approach to sunlight changed completely. And so in this video today, I want to share with you my sunlight routine that I use every day. It's pretty simple. I think everyone can follow it, and it takes me around like 60 minutes a day, and it covers all the biological bases you need to get the most benefit from sunlight. So let's start with the first one, and this is the morning sunlight exposure. So every morning, within 30 minutes upon waking, I get outside and I find a bench facing east. So I get the rising sun on that side, and then I would sit on the bench for 20 minutes. I would meditate. And why is morning sunlight so important? So it's not only about circadian rhythm, but also getting morning sunlight is important to prepare your skin for later UV exposure, because the morning sunlight is very rich in red and also near infrared, and UVB is not present yet. So what are you doing? You are preparing your skin for later UV exposure. Basically, your skin gets like a mild ROS response, and then it produces antioxidants in response to it. And then that later prepares your skin for like the UV exposure. And if you're not doing it, if you're skipping the morning sunlight, and then this happens to a lot of people, they just skip the morning sunlight, they start working from home, go directly to the screen, and then the first time they get outside is around noontime when like the UV index is the highest. So like this is like the time where the risk of you burning is the highest too. And this is what happens. Their skin is not prepared and people burn and get more damage and get more unnecessary risk. So by getting morning sunlight, you mitigate it. For me, it's around 20 minutes that I spend outdoors, that I meditate, and this is where I get the morning sunlight. Then I go indoors, I work, and I would work typically in shade. So ideally, I would work, if I can, in the cafe outdoors, surrounded by trees in the shade. Or if I work from home, I would just open my window, I'm still kind of in the shade, and get kind of natural, unfiltered light through the window. And then after lunch, around noontime, for me it's around, I would say after I finished eating lunch, around 1 p.m., I go outside again, I go for a walk, and I find a bench, and I sit on the bench and expose as much skin as socially acceptable to sunlight. Because noon is the time when UVB waves are the highest, and so this is the time, the perfect time to synthesize vitamin D. And a lot of people, they would just go outdoors and maybe just expose their forearms or like their head or the neck skin to the sunlight. But if you really want an efficient vitamin D production, you want to expose the skin areas that are not usually exposed to sunlight. So ideally, you would be naked in the sun. I know it's not socially possible for most of us. So how I do it, actually, I go out, let's say in a t-shirt, I would roll up my sleeves, and I would also roll up my pants so the skin area exposed to sunlight is maximized. And then I would sit in the sun for maximum of 20 minutes, no longer than 20 minutes. And if you're not used to the sun, I would even start lower, as low as 3 to 5 minutes, and then observe your skin if you get any redness, and later if you get any sunburn, because you want to avoid sunburn at all costs. And so this is what I do. I just do it for like 20 minutes max. And I usually also would wear a hat to protect the skin of my face, of my neck, that the skin on those parts is like more sensitive to sunlight, and I would protect this. And this is also what like the OG heliotherapists did. Like if you look at the pictures from those clinics in Swiss where Dr. August Rollier had his sunlight clinics. They were always like wearing a hat, protecting their head. So this is what I would do. I'm not wearing any sunscreen at all, because like the sunscreen would block the UVB, so you will not be able to synthesize the vitamin D. And there's also an additional issue with sunscreen, that especially the chemical sunscreens can produce reactive oxygen species in your skin, which you don't want to have. And so for me, like, you know, I get the noon sunlight and then I go back to the shade, you know. And, you know, if you are forced to stay longer, like during midday sun or, you know, during the time of high UV, I would first seek shade, and then I would also protect myself with clothing, right? So you can wear natural clothing like linen or cotton and wear a hat, and this is it. And like, you know, I don't use any sunscreen, no need for that. So I would spend 20 minutes around noontime, go back to work, again, shade, open window. And then the last time I would go outside is actually me going and working out. And then after I return from the workout, I also have eaten dinner by then. And then I would walk outside and kind of get this sunset light spectrum, which also prepares your circadian system for it. Kind of signals, like the red from the sky signals to your body that, you know, the nighttime is approaching, the shift is happening again. And this is like the way to also like get additional daylight, but also improve your sleep potentially. So I would get another 20 minutes by evening time. So total of 60 minutes. I get the morning sunlight, I get the noon sunlight for synthesis of vitamin D, and I also get the evening sunlight to prepare my system for sleep. And this is what I do. And I think it's pretty doable for even, you know, the most busiest people of us. I know when I was working in tech sales, I would just, you know, after having lunch, I would just grab my colleagues and we will just go on a walk around the block and get the steps and the sunlight that way. So I'm not trying to maximize sunlight. I'm also not trying to avoid sunlight. I'm just trying to get the right dose to get the most benefits that my biology expects. If you found this useful and if you want to go deeper, I put together a free 5-day email course on building all-day energy from the mitochondria app. It covers things like sleep, meal timing, seasonality, your thoughts, and this is a step-by-step way how you can implement all those things I talk about in your life. If you want to explore it, the link is in the description down below. No pressure, but if you want to take a step further, it's there. Talk to you in the next one.